Hi, my name is Christy Taylor, and today we will be discussing organizational behavior and chapter 1 in the book provided by this class. To start off with, on the first slide here, we're simply going to define organizational behavior. Organizational behavior, in the words of Griffin, Phillips, and Gulley, is the study of human behavior in organizational settings, of the interface between human behavior and the organization, as well as the organization itself. And that sounds really great, and it sounds simple enough, but I broke it down a little bit further and simply defined it as how individuals work and relate within the organization, how they relate to the organization and function within that organization, and how the organization is impacted by both of those two things. On the next slide, you can see how each of these things is not a standalone function within the organization, but by one changing, all three change and all three are impacted. So if the organization itself is not doing well, then that was going to impact the individual organization relationship as well as how the individuals within that organization behave and how they relate to each other. In the next slide, we will see how organizational behavior relates to personal success. The book talks a lot about organizational behavior as far as managerial behaviors are concerned. However, I think it is important to point out that organizational behavior is important for our own personal success as well. The purpose of organizational behavior is to be successful and be effective. At the end of the day, I think that we all want to be effective at our jobs. We all want to do a good job and feel that we are helping our organization succeed. Positive, happy employees and positive, happy managers are going to be more successful and impact their organization in a positive way than those who are unhappy and unmotivated. In the next slide, we see information regarding organizational behavior and the success of the organization itself. Organizational behavior is going to help companies perform well. It is going to help employees feel heard and valued. It helps managers know and recognize when something is working and when something is wrong. If it's not working, fix it. And if it is working, what can we do to make sure that that continues? It also helps to identify and manage 4 basic functions within the organization. And those 4 areas are human resources, financial resources, physical resources, and information resources. In the next slide, we're discussing basic management functions, and this is going to relate to those 4 previous terms that we talked about: human resources, financial resources, physical resources, and information resources. So the first one here, planning, that is going to be the process of determining how we want our organization to grow, how we want it to impact, how we want to get there. So just some simple planning is going to help us achieve those goals, and that directly impacts the next 3 as well. So if we don't plan, we cannot organize. An organization is referred to and is applied to how we design jobs, responsibilities, people, basic functions of the organization, and how we organize those into manageable units within the organization itself. The reason why that is important is because without organizing people into manageable units, we cannot achieve a desired outcome. So by organizing people into what they are good at, what they are passionate about, what their skill strengths are, that helps us further achieve our goals for the organization. The process of leading refers to motivating individuals to work together to achieve that goal. So if we think about people in a workplace, if we think about an unhappy person or a person who is happy but might be in the wrong role, we need to figure out what we can do to get that person in the right position, in the right mindset, and the right framework, and how we can motivate each individual to work together for the good of the organization. And then controlling. Controlling pertains to monitoring and correcting behavior to ensure that the goal is met. So if we see that things aren't working, what do we need to do to change? What do we need to do to manage better? If we're not controlling the work, if we're not controlling the employees and the outcome, we are not going to meet any goals that are set forth by ourselves or by upper management or by the decision of a team. Those 4 basic functions are key to managing an organization. The next slide discusses 4 skills that are needed within organizational behavior and how that relates to what we just discussed. So for those 4 basic management functions. So this is all kind of building on itself, as you can see. First, we talked about the basic ideas of organizational behaviorship and how that relates to the individual success and the organizational success. And then what do we need to do to manage the organization to ensure a successful outcome? So these 4 skill sets: technical skills, interpersonal skills, conceptual skills, and diagnostic skills. These 4 things are very important if we are going to put people in the right roles and the right responsibilities to ensure the success of a desired outcome. So technical skills, we talk about this in the book, we talk about this pretty much in our everyday lives. Technical skills simply refers to mastery of certain skill sets that are required to fulfill specific needs. So we think of the Comcast guy, we think of a plumber, but those are very basic things. If we think in terms of an organization, you might think of your CIO, you might think of your IT guy, you might think of your human resources manager. All of those people have technical skills that can be applied in a very specific way to help the outcome of our goals and help us achieve the outcome towards those goals. Interpersonal skills. We talk about this a lot. If you don't have interpersonal skills, you're probably not a very successful person at managing people. Interpersonal skills refers to the communication that we have with others and how we relate to others, and understanding how to motivate them, how to relate to them, how to best encourage them to achieve what their simple or maybe complicated tasks are. Without good interpersonal skills, we might come off as cold or malicious or as simply unrelatable. And everybody probably can think of somebody that does not have interpersonal skills in a workplace, and it's hard to work with those people. So interpersonal skills are vital if we are going to succeed at organizing and leading well. The next, conceptual skills. This is a little bit more abstract, and abstraction is actually in the definition. So conceptual skills is the ability of an individual to think outside of the box. So if a problem arises and we're not sure how to fix it, rather we just think back to what we've already done or what we already know about a certain situation. Those individual or previous thoughts and previous practices might not help us achieve the goal that we are currently working towards. So it's important that we think outside the box. We think of new ideas. We listen to new voices. That's more of a conceptual skill set. And then the last one, diagnostic skills. This, I believe, relates very strongly to conceptual skills. This is problem-solving skills. So something breaks in the office, or we have a new task at hand, we have a new focus group that we want to appeal to for a certain need or a certain product. This is going to give us the ability to think outside of the box and how to solve a problem that is going to be new and fresh and exciting. So I think those 4 skills very strongly relate to basic management functions and how all of those things work together to help achieve a desired outcome. The next slide is going to be some different strategic approaches to organizational behavior. The first one here is kind of an overall strategic approach. It's the competitive advantage. What gives us an advantage over other companies? What makes us stand out? What is going to encourage loyalty and followership from any buyer, any potential marketplace that we are trying to enter into? What's going to give us an edge over anybody else? And the way to do that is through a few different strategies. So the first is going to be a cost leadership strategy. And this refers to having the lowest cost on the market for a particular good, service, or product. So we think about maybe a place like Cici's Pizza. Cici's Pizza is not good leadership, or sorry, not a good product. However, it's a very affordable place to go and eat a lot of pizza. We think of Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube might not be able to fix every issue in our vehicle, and they might not even give us the best oil change. However, they give us the most affordable oil change. And so that's a good example of a cost leadership strategy. The next differentiation strategy, this is going to appeal to a uniqueness of a product that can't be found elsewhere. So when I think of this, I think of a place like Dick's Sporting Goods, or about DSW, a shoe warehouse, or an eye doctor, where you can go and there's something unique there that you cannot get anywhere else. Sure, you might be able to go online or go to Walmart and buy a hammock, a simple hammock. But if you're looking for something that's going to be durable, if you're looking for something that's going to last and is high quality, you're probably not going to find that at your corner Walmart or corner Target. You're going to want to go to a place where you've got better options. And so by having a place like a Dick's Sporting Goods or an outdoor store, you are going to have a corner market on the products that you're selling that might appeal to a very specific subset of people. The next one, the specialization strategy. This refers to a niche market that holds the corner on a particular service, good, or product. We think about places, and I think it's referenced in the book, a place like Dunkin' Donuts. Sure, you can go to your local grocery store and buy a dozen glazed donuts, but you probably can't go buy a Boston cream-filled donut at your local grocery store. So by having a specialization, you are saying you can only get this specific product at this specific location. And that is important if you are trying to hold the market on a specific product or good. The next slide is going to be about managing for effectiveness. And so we've talked a lot about different facets of organizational behavior so far. This is going to be why this is important. We said earlier that the purpose of organizational behavior is to make sure that we are successful and effective in the workplace. And so why would we talk about those things if we're not actually going to apply them? So managing for effectiveness. The first thing here is enhancing individual and team behaviors. This is going to relate to individual productivity, performance, and attitude. And this doesn't necessarily have to be about one individual. It can be about a team. It can be about a group. It can be about a specific department. If something is working really, really well, you want to figure out what you can do to encourage that behavior. However, if something is not working, what can you do to change that? What can you do to ensure that the individuals within that specific team or department are productive and that they are having a good performance? Because ultimately that's going to reflect on you as a manager. The next thing is enhancing commitment and engagement. And this is going to relate to satisfaction and positivity. Job satisfaction is something that we all want, whether we are working our dream job or if we're working towards our dream job. We all want to be satisfied in the job that we're doing and the roles that we've been given. The next thing is promoting organizational and citizenship behaviors. And this is going to be very important in terms of how people contribute to the organization. If people have a positive mindset, if people are excited about their job, they're feeling motivated, that is a positive organizational citizenship behavior. How can we encourage that? And how can we discourage any negativity that might creep up in the process? And that's going to relate to the next one, which is minimizing dysfunctional behaviors. This relates to things like absenteeism and turnover rates. And nobody wants somebody who is going to be calling out, 1, 2, 3 days a week, or is showing up an hour late, or even if it's a few minutes late every day. You want reliable employees, and you also want employees who want to be there. So in order to do that, you have to minimize any sort of dysfunctional behaviors. If you look at your organization and you see that your turnover rates are exceptionally high or are growing, what's going on within your organization that's making people not want to stay? The next thing is to drive strategic execution. And this is simply about executing and managing actions. Without looking at the actions and the performance of your team, you're not going to know what's going on. And a good manager needs to be involved. So, to wrap all of this up in terms of the first chapter of organizational behavior, we've learned that organizational behavior impacts from the top down, from the bottom up, and all around. So you can't have the organization stand alone by itself. That is automatically going to impact the relationship between the individual and the organization. It is also going to impact the individual. If the individual is unhappy, that is going to impact their relationship to the organization and the organization itself. So these three things are all so closely interrelated. And then for a closing thought, I would like to hear from you guys. What companies do you see that might exhibit some of these different strategies that we've discussed here today? How do they engage their market well? And how do they exemplify the different aspects that we've discussed of organizational behavior? I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope that you have a great rest of your weekend.